Welcome, friends of the Crawford, and I'm delighted to be here today in the Gluksman Gallery in UCC on the grounds. And I've had a lovely walk through today through the amazing campus that is UCC. And I'm here with Peter Nash, and we know Peter. Hello, Peter. How are you doing today?
Hello, Michelle. Good. Nice to see you again.
I'm delighted because it's actually here with the exhibition Parklife, and it is to do with biodiversity in contemporary Irish art. And I wanted to say first and foremost, happy World Earth Day, Peter. What a day you chose for us to meet up down here.
I know, yeah, it's good timing. Perfect.
So, Peter, your work here today, you were saying to me earlier, is all to do with, I suppose, the biodiversity within the campus. And I was thinking back about a talk that I attended when the government announced their climate action plan back in, I don't know, was it 2018 or 2019? And I was blown away by the work that UCC have done here on campus. To be now ranked 9th university in the world for sustainability, it's an incredible achievement. And it would seem as if your artwork is all connected in, and the commission that you got feeds into that. Could you tell us a little bit more about that, Peter?
Yeah, no problem. So I can tell you about the process, how it all came about. So I was invited by the Gluksman Gallery to work with students from UCC, from the University Business School. They were first year economics students. And the whole idea of the project was, it was to do with the economics of climate change. That was kind of the loose brief at the beginning. And then I worked with the students over a series of, there were 6 workshops. And so initially, I kind of met them, and I kind of posed them a question, which was, because I was trying to think about it in terms of, rather than it starting off being really negative, because, that's quite an easy, not an easy, but it's, it is a negative thing, what's happening. So I thought, okay, I'll try and pose them this question. What are the economic possibilities of climate change? Thinking maybe they might be able to come up with some business ideas or something like that. And in the first workshop we did a collage workshop, and they kind of really just expressed their thoughts about climate change through collage. And some of them were kind of, they were very honest in them, and they weren't, they were honest about, I think, their fears and their anxieties and all of that kind of thing. And so then we took it from there and just worked together to make this. So I could tell you about with the week by week process, if you like, or so the next week then what I did was I took all their work away and I brought it all into the studio, and I kind of took the points from what they'd done, like the kind of things that really stood out, and I wrote them down, or I made drawings from them, and then I went back to them 2 weeks later, and we did a drawing workshop. So we spent 2 hours drawing, and then again that week then, and I showed them as well different artists who are approaching work about the environment in different ways. And then because they were business students, they hadn't come to our college, so I know that it was a challenge for them, and fair play to them, they all got stuck into it. So then I took the drawings back, and again I put them all up on the wall, looked through them, pulled out the points, went back the next week. We did an animation workshop with drawn animation, and then the following week we did stop motion. And then over the weeks then, it developed into this work. And then the final week, I had some of these drawings made, and I'd photocopied them and brought them back to the students and and said to them, right, if you want, you can take these, cut them up, collage them, write on them, draw into them, arrange them how you think they should be displayed. And then I took that then for the final 2 weeks and worked that into this, essentially.
You've touched off a few points there, actually. One was they were business students. Incredible, because I think, as you say, they've never maybe worked with collage, animation, drawing, and to get those kind of skill sets in with business students, it's very much a hands-on approach. So I think that was quite interesting, even challenging for you. But did you find, I suppose that kind of feeds into what UCC's Green Campus project, I suppose, is all about, which is student-led. And it is about education and bringing the students along in the process. Did you find that that creates more ownership and kind of brings them in more?
I hope so. Yeah, because it's kind of difficult. It's a different process of working, and it's, you know, I always think about it as like thinking through making, and you know, you can kind of take it for granted sometimes when, especially say like you're doing workshops or things like that, the people have come because they want to learn a skill or something like that. But these students were coming because it was a module for their course, and so we were kind of asking a lot of them at times, and so I mean, I can't speak for them, but I only hope that it opened up a different way of maybe thinking to them that these things as well are possible. Do you know, that even I think the thing about making art is it gives you the opportunity just to think differently and to approach a subject differently. Do you know, like even with my own work, what I do a lot of the time is it's drawing and making, and that's my research process. So whereas when you might in college or in school or something like that, they say research a project or research a subject, and what you do is you end up just writing out a lot of stuff in a copybook, you know. But I draw and I make notes and make animations or make sculptures. So it was just, we were just hoping that we might be able to, I suppose, share some of those processes with students who might not have had an opportunity to do that kind of thing before.
Yeah, and I think, as you say, the creative process, and I know from watching artists, is that it changes your perspective on things. And I think that's what essentially the human species need to do, is change our perspective on how we have lived on this planet. And that's exactly what Earth Day is all about, being able to live as a species on the planet in a sustainable way that protects our biodiversity and the other species on this planet, and sharing it. So I think it's quite a collaborative process that you've been on. And as an artist, it's probably, you know, quite often you work on your own as an artist. So how was it from an artist's point of view, working with, you know, getting all the insights and the inputs from a multiple of people who essentially weren't artists previously to this?
Yeah, it was challenging, but it was also really exciting. And yeah, enjoyable as well. But I think, yeah, it was mostly just educational for me, I think, because I had to really adapt my process. Because, like, I mean, we've chatted before, and a lot of the way I make is kind of I just find materials and I just start making something because I'm interested in it, or I'm researching it and it manifests as a 3D thing or a drawing. But this was really, I wanted it to be a collaborative process because I wanted it to represent their concerns. You know, I didn't want to just make something and go kind of be speaking for somebody. So just even in terms of, and as well, it was quite a short time frame to make it. We only started it in February, or into January. So it was like, I basically had to come up with I came up with a workshop plan. They gave me material during that, and I took it away, and then I worked that into kind of the next step. And from the beginning, I didn't know what we were going to end up with at all. Like, that wasn't, because I thought I just wouldn't have been honest if I'd have, said, right, this is what I'm going to do, and I'm going to have to work their thing into this. So this is how we ended up with the work that we've got. And it's funny the way you were speaking about, World Earth Day and biodiversity. And I think a lot of it is about education and just knowing what's around you all the time. So that's where a lot of the images came from, like from reference books and encyclopedias and things like that. And I was educating myself as well, like as well as the students educating me and the process educating me. I was seeking things out, and like I learned a lot from making this work. Like I learned that worms have 5 hearts, which I didn't know before. So things like that, or just even in terms of like this one here about how a tree grows, its annual growth cycle, and those kind of things.
They're kind of things that maybe we learned long ago in school when you were in primary school. Then they didn't, I don't think the focus was on that when I certainly attended secondary school. It was on business and it was on everything else. And they were the things that were kind of left behind, sadly, for me anyway, I think. And I think when you're looking at a campus like this, which I believe has over 2,500 trees on it, you're surrounded, they are naturally absorbing it. I think the students here are so fortunate because, as you say, you observe things around you, you learn from things around you, and like yourself, there's so much actually here. And looking at your drawings here and the work that you've done with them, it seems you've also both perspectives. You've got like from the human species perspective, and you've also got from whether it's the earthworm or whether it's the bee, you've also got their life cycle and their process and the challenges that they face. So that's quite nice. How did that fall into be with both us looking at nature and nature looking at us?
I think that's part of the way I make, really. I can't help sometimes putting myself in. And as well, it came about through the work that we'd done together with the students, like I kind of felt like if it was, I think what you're referring to is kind of, I put myself in with the bits of text and those kind of things, and sort of a human point of view of looking at and studying. And I think, they'd been so generous with their thoughts and, their experiences. And so I really wanted to put that in to what I was making. And I think that is a way as well, I find, of hopefully drawing a viewer into the work as well. If rather than it being one thing, it can be a couple of things. And I think hopefully it encourages people to look a bit closer.
I think that's it. It's people need to look a bit closer, and I want to thank you on behalf of the Friends of the Crawford Art Gallery. We're learning more about your work, Peter. We always look forward to seeing it. And I noticed here as well that this, by the way, Friends of the Crawford, you need to come down in to the Gluksman for this exhibition, Parklife. It's running until, I think it's the 10th of July, Peter. Is it the 10th of July? Around then anyway. It's midsummer. So you've got a bit of time. There's, I think, 12 artists in total took part. And I just happened to notice that one of the artists is... excuse my pronunciation, Gawain Dunn. And Gawain, I had noticed, Gawain's work is currently exhibiting in the Zurich Portrait Prize with I Love You Boy. It'll actually be on your newsletter from 2 weeks ago. And that nature is straight back in. It's the collection of a nest of hair in his young son's head with a bee and all sorts in the background. Absolutely loved it. So that was just something that I happened to notice as I was coming along. But I want to thank you, Peter, for your time today on behalf of the Friends of Crawford. Always a pleasure. Delighted to see that your work will now be framed, I believe, and go into the UCC collection.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so it's going to have a permanent home, and then the idea is that it will be part of the art library here from the Gluksman as well. So it might get a chance to go, into different places on campus or in different settings around the city and the county, and then eventually I think it's going to have a permanent home in the business school, the new Cork University Business School.
Brilliant. That's fantastic. Thank you very much, Peter.
Thank you. Thanks, Michelle. Thanks, friends.